Good evening and welcome. Good evening and welcome to the big story here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. My name is Chika Ago. Let's get started with our conversation this evening. The Ogun State Cargo Airport is operational and getting the control tower constructed. Sited on a 500 hectares of land at Ikperu in the Ikena local government area of the state, the Gateway Agro Cargo Airport provides inter-regional and international connectivity for the movement of people and goods, especially agro produce in and out of Ogun State. Or at least that's the vision of the Ogun State government when it put down this project. Taken to his ex-handle, Governor Dagba Abiodun expressed joy as the state approaches the final stages of completing the terminal building and control tower, marking remarkable progress in the overall development of the airport facility. However, the project has for long been a subject of controversy, sentiments, ego-tripping, and arguments about the choice of location, or even the need for one. Many are asking, what use does this serve states like Ogun in the long run? And so joining us on the big story this evening to discuss the ongoing Ogun State Cargo Airport project is Dari Odufokan, the Senior Special Assistant to the Ogun State Governor on Public Communications. Mr. Odufokan, good evening and thank you very much for joining us this evening on the big story.
It's my pleasure, Chika. Nice having me on your show.
Happy to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining. So let's get started with, sort of the latest. Recently, we saw Governor Abiodun put out a post saying that the control tower is being put in place at the airport. What else is happening at the developments?
Thank you very much. The Gateway Cargo Airport project is, like the governor tweeted, is as good as completed and should be in operation very, very soon. So it's a project that was conceived and has been delivered. The governor's commitment to delivering that particular project has played out in the speed and the quality of work done, which the whole world will be seeing very soon once it goes operational.
We've heard, over time from the governor that this is a cargo airport, an agro cargo airport.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the use case for this airport and, why now?
Let me tell you that the airport, yes, an agro cargo airport, will also serve other purposes that other airports use them. And we ask about why have it now. I must first thank you on behalf of the government of Ogun State for calling attention to the importance of the Gateway Agro Cargo Airport, because that's what you have done with this program. Without knowing or unknowingly, you are availing the public the opportunity to know why we must have the airport and why the governor is so passionate about it. The airport for us in Ogun State is of economic value, immense economic value. And that's why when people ask why do we have it now, I'll start by telling you that this Gateway International Agro-Cargo Airport is beyond just an infrastructure meant to tackle a lot of economic issues. And that's why I thought it's of great economic importance. Because not less than 25,000 youths will be employed by the time we are through. Are you with me? That's talking about its importance economically. Not less than 25,000 of our youths, and of course, youths from neighboring states may just benefit. Will be, you know what it takes to make an airport operational, and a specialized airport at that. The governor, in arriving at the decision, you must also know that this is a project that has been conceived and also attempted by previous administration in the state. As far back as the government of Otungbagbenga Daniel tried putting up an agro-cargo airport. The government of Senator Amosu also tinkered with the idea, not being able to deliver it. But Governor Abiodun, within his first term of 4 years, almost delivered. And I tell you, in a matter of weeks, the airport will be operational. So it is not as if it is alien to Ogun State, or it is something he just brought in from the blues. A well thought out policy that borders on the need for infrastructural development, that borders on the need to address rural-urban migration, that borders on the need to continue with the desire and intention of further industrializing Ogun State, that borders on the need to take advantage of the proximity of Lagos, Ogun to Lagos, in commercial and economic sense. If we have the airport operational, some flights intended to land in Lagos will take advantage of the new airport and do business with us in Ogun State. And you know what that means? Job creation. So I want you to understand beyond the issue of infrastructure, the very gamut of economy you touched is also taken care of by these airports.
Right.
And you're talking about investment. People say, couldn't we have put the money on other things? I tell you, this is as important as any other thing. Because it's not just about an agro-cargo airport. It is about what it will do. Okay. The closeness of the airport to even farming settlements, rural communities, with the desire to export their goods, their produces, should also be put into consideration.
Okay.
So you have a situation where it will serve more than just the intention of flying.
Okay.
But it will touch the economy of the state directly.
Couple of things that you've said, right? Couple of things you said, and I want to go in depth into this statement one after the other. Okay, so please follow me on this journey. So at first, you said 25,000 youths will be employed, not less than 25,000 youths. So at least, if you don't employ at all, at least 25,000 youths will get employment in some form from this airport. I don't know that the biggest airports in Nigeria have that many people employed as a function of their existence wherever. But I'm happy to be wrong. Can you break down this figure
so,
for me?
If I ask you directly, how many people do you think work in an airport? You'll give me an idea. And we'll move on from there. I ask you to look at other issues, other businesses, other interests that having that cargo airport there will spring up. For example, I just spoke about the availability of a cargo airport that will help produce buyers and produce sellers to do business. That's at hand, where employment will take place.
Right.
As a result of this airport, infrastructures will need to go up in those areas. Already, the government is building an estate very close to that place. People are going to work on such sites, and you can imagine the number of people. Then individual businesses that will directly do business around and within the area, because the airport is coming up,
right,
also employ people. So it's an estimate of...
So the airport is creating an economy around itself.
Thank you. It is not just the airport employing 25,000 youth.
Okay.
It is the economy that the airport presence will create.
Okay, so that's settled. And then one other thing that you said, that I want us to touch on quickly before we move on, is the fact that this will, serve as a gateway for farmers to sell their produce.
Okay.
It's in the name, agro-cargo.
Yes.
At what point did the Ogun State government realize that there is a need for an airport against any other means of currently existing transportation to distribute whatever it is that farmers in Ogun State are producing?
I must tell you first that government is a continuum, and I did mention earlier that the idea of an agro-cargo airport predates this administration. And I think that answers the question at what point.
Yes.
It simply means government even before now in Ogun State, have identified the need for us to take advantage of our environment.
So it doesn't completely answer. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. It doesn't completely answer the question of at what point, because I like to think that there are some projects that were started by previous administration that Governor Dapo Abiodun did not see as a priority at this time. So if I were to rephrase the question, I would say that at what point did Governor Dapo Abiodun identify the need for an airport and say, you know what, I'm going to pick up this project from where it was left off because this is what I'm seeing on the ground and this is why I think we need this infrastructure?
Okay, I'll tell you, it's at that very point when he agreed with the conception. At that very point when he agreed with the idea of, yes, this is what governments before me have been trying to do. And I agree with the fact that we need it. So at that point when he sat down, decided on his own plan for Ogun State, economic plan, socio-political plan, infrastructural plan, and he realized that having an agro cargo airport will fit into his plan. It's at that point he decided that, look, this is something we'll continue with. It fits into our plan. I must tell you that my principal Governor Dapo Abiodun is somebody who does not do things on impulse. He doesn't do things on impulse. He pursues anything he's doing with the vigor you see because he first convinces himself that, yes, this is worth doing. And for him, in every facet of life, so Governor Dapo Abiodun, whatever is worth doing well, worth doing at all, is worth doing well. So at that moment when he realizes that having a cargo airport fits into his plan for the state, he became convinced that it's at that point that he's ready to pursue it.
So what are the things that convinced him about? Because you say, farmers produce. Do we have numbers to back this up? What are the farmers in Ogun State producing in bulk? What's the metric tons here? What's the where's the demand coming from? Can you talk to us through this?
The demand. You see, when you talk about farm produces, don't let's limit our eyes to things we ordinarily would expect to be exported. Maybe you're thinking of cocoa, timber, and whatever. No, I'm sure you know the My 12 market in Lagos. Do you?
Yes.
The volume of businesses that goes on in that place daily, the volume, and this is a market where largely perishable goods are sold. Ogun State is an agrarian community that government efforts in the past and private efforts have proven that with the right support, farmers in Ogun State, in various parts of Ogun State, can plant and cultivate some of these products in large quantity. Talk about yam, talk about tomatoes, talk about vegetables, talk about fruits. These are things that are being cultivated in our hinterland, and if well supported, will be cultivated in large quantities. Now, the issue of how do we transport this to where the market is from the hinterland of Irolu, from the agrarian community of Akaka, from villages as far as Orileoko, from big and small villages around and within Oderemo, Iraye, Ekosho. Farm settlements abound. Farmers are in large quantity. They produce crops, food crops and cash crops. Now moving this thing to town, talk about moving it to Abeokuta, talk about moving it even to Lagos, My 12 market, talk about moving it further to the boundary between Lagos and Ogun State in Badagry, where you have willing buyers. Talk about moving these things to the processing plants that you have in Songo area of Ogun State, in Agbara area of Ogun State, in some parts of Lagos State. The availability of a cargo airport will make business easy for produce buyers. Who are produce buyers? These are people who go to the hinterland, buy all these produces, bring them to the outskirts, and begin to think of how to move them to where the buyers are.
Let me come in here.
Hold on.
Okay.
In time for these things not to perish.
Right.
So rather than relying on moving them through the road gridlock, the traffic, the unexpected occurrences of the road. You have a cargo airport that can take you from there and land you in Lagos and reduce the length of time. A cargo airport from where you can move and even land in Kano.
Right. So
go to Benin, go to Port Harcourt, where these things are in high demand. So that's why that's the picture I want you to paint.
I get the picture, right? I get the picture you're painting for me. I just struggle to see the viability in it. So before now, a lot of the agricultural produce, and still till this very moment as we speak, a lot of agricultural produce come into Lagos from far up north. And even though a lot of them get here in bad conditions, many of these products actually get here on time to be sold in the markets. And so in many ways, flying a produce from Ogun State to Lagos because we don't want it to go bad on time doesn't sound like a smart business move, in my opinion. And you can feel free to dispute that when you respond. Secondly, a good number of our farmers in Nigeria are we just seems like we have lost the connection to our guest, but we'll hopefully reach out to him as soon as possible and get this conversation going. In case you missed it, we've been speaking with Dare Odufowokon, who is the senior special assistant to the governor of Ogun State on public communications, and we are having a conversation on the new Gateway agro-cargo airport that's just getting some finishing touches in Ogun State. It sits on a 500 hectares of land at Ikberu in Ikene local government area of the state. We do have him back on the line. Mr. Odufowokon, I sincerely apologize for that. Sometimes this network providers trip on us. So I was just asking, right, because Ogun State, I could leave here right now and go to Ogun State and come back tomorrow and come back to my house, later this evening. And it's not like I've made a trip. We're really, really that close, right? And so many would argue that flying anything from Ogun to Lagos because we don't want it to go bad just seems like a bad idea. If we're flying anything because we don't want it to go bad, we might as well just, preserve, take it to the industries and turn it into something else. So we're not losing money. That's one. Secondly, many people will argue that because there are lots of subsistence farmers in Ogun State, right? And in fact, across the country, farming is majorly subsistence in this country. I mean, we're barely able to feed ourselves. So they argue that there are actually no use cases or there's no business sense in building an airport for a few commercial farmers in Ogun State who actually should be able to move their produce themselves. And in fact, that having better road network from Ogun to Lagos will benefit the bulk of the farmers who are subsistence farmers. How do you respond to that?
Okay, let me take the first one to talk about the closeness of Lagos to Lagos to Ogun. First, I must explain to you that we're not talking about just Lagos and Ogun alone. And then, if you talk about not having enough farmer or that what you have as subsistence farmers, are you saying those who bring those crops from up north to Lagos are subsistence farmers?
What I'm saying, no. What
we must look beyond. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. We must look beyond what we think Nigeria or our own environment is. If we provide the necessary amenities and environment, just like Governor Dakwabiode is doing in Ogun State, the story will change. If farmers know that they don't have to cultivate and leave it perishing, they will plant more. All they need to do is get more hands and more machineries. It is wrong, absolutely incorrect, to say all you have in Ogun State are subsistence farmers. My brother, I am from Ogun State. Good enough, I am from that area where the airport is sited. And I would invite you to come and see for yourself the kind of farms we have there, both livestock and food plants. It is wrong to sit down and assume. What I'm telling you is what the government has done is to encourage the farmers, this farming settlement, to be further determined to produce more We talk about feeding ourselves. You just mentioned that we can barely feed ourselves. Do you think we'll feed ourselves by thinking we cannot feed ourselves? The answer is no. We'll do it by believing that we can. And that's the mentality we need to change. We have arable farmlands all over the southwest. The problem for you today, you say you can leave Lagos and go to Ogun and come back. That's also another fallacy. I'm not telling you, my brother. You didn't factor in possible gridlock on the road. We all know this happens. And we must factor it in.
Right.
Recently, we still had traffic on the old Lagos Expressway. Once in a while, it still happens on Lagos Expressway. And if you are trapped, even the ones coming from the north, because of distance, get perished before getting to Lagos. Right. And these are still sold to people. That's not what the kind of thing we should be consuming. And you begin to change our ideas about what is good and what we should do now, what we do later, then we'll get it. A cargo airport goes beyond what you are, how you are painting it. You should get the picture I'm painting for you. Beyond farm produce and other things. There are there are other things we want to do in Lagos in good time from Ogun. There's nothing wrong with Ogun having an operational airport.
So here,
it's an airport where people can land from any part of the country and proceed to Lagos if the roads are good.
Right. I hear you, right? I hear you. And this is where this is for me, right? Well, this is what I was hoping that you would understand earlier, because I had asked you, what exactly is, I wanted the data, right? So when I said that we have more subsistence farmers than commercial farmers, data produced by NERSAL, right, backs that up. It's data produced by the CBN anchor borrowers backs that point up. And so I asked you, what exactly is, what's the tonnage, what's in metric tons, what's the volume of produce that comes out of Ogun State every quarter, or let's say every year, every harvest season, and that warrants, this product or this infrastructure, one, and more importantly, secondly, more importantly, where is the main, I'm coming, sir, because you will need to answer both of them together. Secondly, where is the main destination for this commodity? Because knowing where the bulk of your demand comes from determines how you build the supply infrastructure that services that market.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me first tell you that you still have not seen the larger picture. If you are expecting that if you are thinking that this airport is a product of what we have on ground now as per volume of possible trade, then you are wrong. Then you are not getting the idea at all. I put it to you again that the airport is a product of the possibilities that the governor has seen and is certain about. That if we do this, we will encourage the economy. We will encourage the various sectors to do more, taking advantage
so it's about the future.
Infrastructure. Hello?
I said, so it's about the future.
It's about the possibilities that we are yet to tap. The opportunities we are leaving unused because the facilities are not there, and because people don't believe that we will be daring enough to go in this direction. Right. So that Abiola is simply treading where many people fear to tread. And he's certain that at the end of it, he may no longer be the governor when this will come to pass. He's certain that at the end of the day, we are going to thank our stars that we did this now. It's a project that encapsulates our vision of an industrialized state.
Right. And
our idea of where we should be in the committee of states and not where we are.
Right. But you see, a politician once said, at an interview, that we must, in our relationship with Nigeria, relate to the country where it is and not where we think it should be. And in many ways, I want to relate what we're talking about to what that politician said. We want to think of Ogun State as, what you have just said, as that place that provides the facility, that provides whatever for moving agro-allied products. And I hear you. It's visionary. It makes a lot of sense. And as a Nigerian, I would wish nothing better for this country than to see us, than to see this happen. However, There are more pressing needs on the ground, many would argue. And for them, it is about satisfying this immediate need. The need for better roads.
Can you tell me one of those immediate needs?
The need for better roads for farmers, right? The need for better market farm connectivity. The need for improved biosecurity for farmers, right? And we can go on and on about.
I will tell you that our rural road network answers your question. No, you need to come around. This airport project is not in isolation. You don't build an airport for farmers, for produce buyers, for movement
I'm not speaking of this airport now.
Hold on. Okay. You don't build an airport without building connecting roads. Come around the Peru in Lishon all day and see things for yourself. I am sure I'm also a journalist. I'm also a journalist, and if I'm going to run this kind of show, I will visit the subject matter. It will enrich and enlighten me about discourse. You understand? If you had done that, you will understand that some of the issues you are raising is part of the larger plan. You are talking just about the Gateway Cargo Airport. I think it's in isolation.
No. I think you're misunderstanding me, sir.
Hold on. Most of the things you are mentioning are factored into this. They are either done already, being done, or part of those things that I told you about an housing project going on nearby.
Yes, you did.
There are even private, come to the Ishara, and you will see that the price of land between when this project started and now, you will not even, it's over 100% increase. Even land sellers are making business, and people are going. You know why it's so? People are moving. Even private individuals are moving in to build some of these things you're talking about. Good market, moving. Even private sector individuals are taking advantage of that. Not to talk of the government. So most of these things you mentioned are either done already, being done, or will be done. And it's not. It is because we envisioned a very clear and smart project.
Okay.
The idea of what we want to achieve is very clear to us.
But
the idea of where we ought to be is very clear to us. The idea of what we are now.
But
and we need to do.
As we move on, because we've got just about 2 more minutes to do this, so I'm going to be quick. Right. As we move on, one thing that comes to mind is sustainability, and aviation experts will tell you that airports are not the most profitable ventures you can get into. And just given where our economy is as a country, given the economy of Ogun State at the moment, right? The maintenance of this airport will definitely weigh heavy on these books. What's the plan for when Governor Dapo Abiodun leaves office and the next governor doesn't
or even when he's still there?
No, what about...
Or even when he's still there and the airport becomes operational.
Well, that's the group. I'm saying what happens when he leaves office. What's the plan to keep this airport operational if he doesn't make a profit soon?
The Gateway Cargo Airport is not a Dapo Abiodun personal project. It's an Ogun State project envisioned and delivered by Governor Dapo Abiodun. And it's part of researching into topics. The governor on many occasions have told us that even the money spent on this project will be recouped in no time. How? A lot of international aviation investors, international aviation players are lined up to key into this project already, as I speak with you. The concession plan of the government makes it easy to run that place outside government. You see, it's something he sat down with his men, planned, and he became convinced this is how we're going to do it. There's a plan to concession this, concession that, ensure that it does not become something laborious to the government. Private sector participation will come in, and that is when you will understand why it is not totally correct to say airport projects are not profitable. When you run it the right way, and you push it the way it ought to be, and you allow things to run the way they are, then the story may just be different. But Governor Dapo Abiodun's vision about this cargo airport is very clear. And if implemented the way he has it in plan, and we have no fears that airport has come to stay. It has come to stay.
Well,
even private helicopter operators that are willing to take advantage of what we have there, they are in their numbers.
Well, Mr.
Cargo delivery services.
Yeah.
Who are willing to be part of this? We already have them in their numbers.
Right. Well,
so talk of industrial players, manufacturers, and the like.
Mr. Odufo, I as a Lagosian, as your neighbor, right, and as a Nigerian, I want you to understand that I wish you well, and I wish the people of Ogun State well. And
you are just being a journalist like me. Don't worry.
And I hope that all the things that you have said comes to pass. Okay. Good luck with the project, and our best wishes to the people of Ogun State. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Dario Dufo is the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Ogun State on Public Communications, joining us this evening to speak on the new Gateway Agro Cargo Airport that's getting things in place to become operational. I want to talk about this at the round table. There are, I think, 13. Maybe with this we're at 14, or maybe this makes it 13. I'm not sure, but we do have a lot of cargo airports in the country. In fact, while I was working on, while I was putting together this program, I sort of went through all the cargo airports in the country and where they are now. It doesn't really look good. What do you think of Ogun State and this airport project? It's a cargo airport. It's supposed to help commerce. They have lofty ideas. Is it misplaced priorities? Or are we refusing to see the bigger picture, just like the senior special assistant to the governor said? We'll talk about that at the roundtable, so stay with me. Good evening.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Please, officer, now. I know to make money today. I beg now. Hey! Laolu!